The driver's seat is presented by Ray Reese Volkswagen and Portland's Hyundai, Portland's #1 VW dealer and Portland's newest Hyundai dealer. Now let's climb into the driver's seat on Miles Around Television.
In our driver's seat, it's the 2008 Dodge Viper. Dennis and I got a chance to drive this car the last summer at an event called Run to the Sun, where auto journalists got to drive convertibles and sports cars across Washington state. Now, we got to spend a day which was supposed to be in the sun with this vehicle. Although it did rain a little bit, we did get that day of driving pleasure in the Dodge Viper on some straight and very wild roads. And there's nothing like a Viper. This car originally debuted as the Copperhead in '89 at the Detroit Auto Show. '92 saw it as the Viper appearing on the streets, and Carroll Shelby had a lot to do with the production and final design of this vehicle.
It wasn't just Carroll Shelby, though. He is an icon of the automotive sports car world. It was also Lee Iacocca. You know, when you go to review a car like the brand new Dodge Viper, you do want to touch on things like interior room, maybe storage space. Well, we're not going to get to spend a lot of time on that. We're going to spend some time talking about the drive and the way that this thing performs. And we're going to start at that 8.4-liter V10 under the hood right now.
So now we have the hood open of the 2008 Dodge Viper. That in itself was quite a feat, because the hood doesn't open from inside the car, it opens from the front, as Dennis says, old school style. Inside you'll find that V10 engine, and this thing goes around 200 miles an hour. Of course, then depends who's driving, but it also sucks a lot of gas. If you don't have a gas card for this vehicle, you want to make sure that you at least have something in your checking account before you want to go and fill it up.
If the worst thing you got to have is a little bit of extra money, maybe a slush fund for gas to drive a car with this much horsepower, so be it. Let's go through some numbers. 600 horsepower, 560 foot-pounds of torque. That equates to 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. And yes, the car will go over 200 miles an hour. Quarter mile, 11.6 at over 100 miles an hour. This vehicle is an exercise in restraint. At the Run for the Sun event, the one that Nick mentioned, I got a chance to drive in the car with Scott Brown, the head of communications for Dodge. And I'm telling you, even that gentleman had a chance to sit there and look at the smile on my face while I had a chance to drive this car. It has horrible ergonomics. The car is tight inside, but you know what? All it has to do with is the power in the ride. Great brakes, heavy steering. It all equates to being like a race car with a license plate. For me, one of the best cars out there if all you want to do is go fast.
Let's take a look at the exterior of the 2008 Dodge Viper. These rear tiles are the largest made by Michelin, and for 2008 we have new hood scoops. But it's not about how this car looks. This is an icon for the whole line. If you take a look at some other Dodge cars, like the Demon, which is their new British-style sports car that comes out later this year, it's modeled off of this car. In fact, every Dodge with things like the crosshair grille comes from the Viper. This isn't only the Viper, it lays the road out for the complete brand.
When it comes to my interpretation of the styling of the 2008 Dodge Viper, I only have to mention a couple things. One is the classic shape of the original Viper is still seen in this model. They've updated it with some nice hood scoops and this beautiful line on the front fender. It has that classic overall shape. Long front nose, short deck, and short overhangs gives it that very muscular look. And I love the fact that I get the side exhausts again. I know that some of the original Viper owners probably burnt their legs getting in and out, but you have to have it there to be called a Viper.
On the interior of the 2008 Dodge Viper, oh, well, there's not much to talk about in here. However, it is very low on the ground and it's quite a snug fit. The gauges are laid out nicely. You've got a lot of the racing style gauges on the interior and the basic things like your HVAC controls and your stereo and CD player. There are a few things that are unique to the interior of this car. First of all, even though it has a key and the key needs to be in the ignition to actually turn on the car, it has a push button start. Also, something that you don't necessarily notice if you're looking at the car from quite a distance, but it's apparent when you're sitting at the driving position, is instead of the Dodge emblem, where you expect to see the Ram, you actually have a Viper. And when you get up close, you see they've done a very skillful art job in melding that Ram into a Viper. And that makes this car very distinctive in the emblems.
Well, there's only a couple things I'm going to mention when it comes to the interior of the new Dodge Viper, and it's a problem they've had since the original car. Whether you're a little gnome like my friend in the driver's seat, or if you're 6'2" like me, you have some vehicle dynamics that you have to deal with. If you want to drive one and you're over 6'1", it's going to be cramped. If you're 5'6", like the roaming gnome, you're going to have to get right up against the wheel to be able to touch the pedals. Either way, the car is meant for one thing, the right guy for the right place. Now, when it comes to the audio system, I'm going to make mention of that. It's supplied by Alpine, and it actually has enough power and enough sound clarity to overwhelm the wind noise that you get in the car. I don't think they spend a lot of time in the wind tunnel making sure that you can get a roar, not only from the engine, but from the wind.
So we've come to the part of the show when we talk about our 2 ups and 1 down for the vehicle. And let me tell you about my 2 ups for the 2008 Dodge Viper. It's got to be the design or the actual platform that the car exists on. It's big, it's bold, and it's attention-grabbing. That's got to be something you've got to love about this car, because if you're not about self-realization and people wanting to love you, this is not a car for you. Wherever you go, people are going to take a look at you. Wherever you drive, people are going to notice. This is a car which extends your personality, and you've got to love how the car looks on the road and the sort of attention you get from it. My second up for this vehicle is actually the performance in a straight line. There's very little on the road that beats this car, that comes off of a showroom floor, that can do the kind of speeds and acceleration that this car does. It's in that top echelon of cars, and you've got to love that about the car. My down, and I'm pretty sure that Dennis is going to agree with me on the down for this car, is it's a great little car to drive around for a couple of days, but I'd hate to think I was going to have this as a family car or a daily commuter. Even if I had enough room in this car for just me and maybe my sandwiches when I came to work in the morning, there isn't much room for anything else. It's a great fun car to go out and drive on a road on a Sunday afternoon, which is sunny, and you can have the top down. It's not a great car to commute to and from work or to try and get your daily lives done.
When it comes to my 2 ups and 1 down, the first thing is that performance. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. All of the performance factors you would ever want in an automobile, and it's refined this year. The variable valve timing, the new transmission, make it a lot more livable on a daily basis. I don't agree with Nick. I think that you could live with this car, maybe not for a family, but you definitely could drive it every day if a sports car is what you want. The other up is going to be the new styling cues, the beautiful lines, the great new wheels. I think it's the best looking Viper they've ever made. Now, I will agree with Nick on this thing. If you're looking for space, if you need a duffel bag or your golf bag, buddy, this is not the car for you. You want to go fast and look good? This might be the perfect ticket. The 2008 Dodge Viper SRT10 convertible comes standard with an 8.4-liter V10 engine and a 6-speed manual transmission. The base price is $83,145 with a total as-tested price of $86,995. City EPA mileage rating is 13 and highway mile per gallon rating is 22.
Driver's Seat is brought to you by Ray Reese Volkswagen. Family owned and specializing in Volkswagens for over 15 years. And proudly presenting the all-new Portland Hyundai. Check them out at rayreese.com. Miles Around Television is broadcasting each week from Gresham Toyota Studios. Walk in, grab your just looking badge and relax. Then check out hundreds of new, used, and certified Toyotas worry-free. Gresham Toyota, where just looking is no problem.